All right, so I'm picking up here where we kind of left off last time, and we left class with our application not completely working. So what we had going is we would do the edit and try to make a change, and it wouldn't stick, right? And then what happened here is one of my students, and I will name him by name, Brian, figured out that we skipped something. And it was really easy to overlook because this code that you're looking at here on page 96 looks just like the other code that we already have inside of our application. So I'll switch to Visual Studio, and you can see that we have this version of the code where it lists all the different entries. But notice right here, non-action, right? It says right here. And look at the header here and how it's displayed. And then come back to the book. And I didn't like the way that this chapter was written compared to some of the others because it didn't say step whatever, which would have been helpful, or maybe some bold text. And notice what it says. It says, let's change, and you missed that, and basically you needed to add this class to it. Notice the difference, folks. It's got a static designation. So I'm going to take this code, and I am going to have to paste it all in and clean it up, and I'm going to drop it into the app and then see what happens. But I think that this will help us to fix it. So let's go ahead and grab as much of this as we can. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of zoom out a little bit and kind of make it a little easier to grab the code from the PDF. You can type it by hand too. I'm okay with that. Builds character, right? So where am I going to put that? I'm going to make sure that I put that outside of this set of curly brackets. So I'm actually going to collapse my code down here so I make sure that it's outside, right? So that's why you have these types of tools. So I'm just going to drop down here and paste in. And yes, a lot of cleanup to do here. And that's not even all the code. There's a little bit more on the next page. So let's grab that and add it. And that's going to come in right here. Now I'm going to go back and I'm going to pull the PDF over to my second screen, kind of full screen it there again. And then I'm going to move this over just so that I can see both things at the same time and make sure I have a nice clean format that I can read. Remember, a computer doesn't care what the formatting is. It'll read it either way. But since we're really using a JSON data format here, I like to get it into what I think is normal looking JSON format, which is basically this. So you guys see the technique here. And at this point, I'm just going to keep working. I'll try not to talk too much. Cue the music. Right? I should have like a soundtrack at the ready that I can just hit a button. I'll just be like all the kids. I'll just bring it up on my phone. All right. And the way that they're putting this in here, I'm just looking at the code in the book, and they're kind of laying it out like this. Now I'm noticing that my indenting is breaking a little bit. I'm trying to ride it out here, so maybe. And I do see an underline. You guys catching that? All right. And did you run into that problem, Brian? You did have that problem? There is an index somewhere else. Oh, okay. So let's do it the simple way, right? Right. and that looks pretty much like the same method here. So maybe instead of actually deleting it, I see. Yeah, it doesn't, frankly, you're right. It doesn't matter where it's placed. So why don't we just grab all this? I like that idea. All right, it seemed to like that a little better. Then we'll go back up to the other index, which is up here. And instead of just brute force getting rid of that one, I'm going to paste this one in. And I want to just look at the differences, basically. So what I'm seeing as a difference here is basically the call. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to cut it for right now. So the underline did go away. Let's save that. And at this point, I think we're ready to run it and test that edit feature. So let's go ahead and do that. Now, the only thing I need to remember here, because some time has lapsed since I looked at it last, is what the URL is that we need to pull it back. All right, so let's go ahead and run it. And hopefully this is our fix. You see, I say that with great confidence, right? Right. Just like a real professional. All right, we're kind of anticipating that error because we do have to run employee. So there's a thing. Let's go ahead and hit edit. Let's go ahead and change the age to like 99 so we know it's changed. And voila, it is fixed. All right, so that gives me peace of mind. Now, of course, we needed to fix this, right? Because now we're going to go into the next section, and guess what? We have to have this chapter working before we can do that one. All right, so Brian, thank you for the fix. I appreciate it. And that's the end of this video, folks, and now you can feel free to move on to the next sample app, and I'll see you in that video.